Hi everyone, Marcel Neri here with Gueco Real Estate Group. I'm joined with my colleagues Michael and Jeremy and our special guest, Carlo Augustin, who's a lender. So we'll each introduce ourselves briefly and then we'll get into answering some questions that we've been commonly asked.
Hi, my name's Carlo Augustin. I'm here with Caliber Home Loans. Been in the mortgage industry for about 11 years now, exclusively in the San Francisco Bay Area.
Hey everyone, this is Michael Neri. I'm also a team member on Gueco Real Estate Group. I am a realtor in San Francisco. I've been a homeowner for 12 years now in the intermission, so I know the market really well, and excited to be here and answer some of your questions for you.
Hello everyone, my name is Jeremy Carlos. I'm a realtor with Gueco Real Estate Group. I've been in the business for about 12 years now, first in commercial and now in residential.
Cool, thank you, Jeremy. So the format of today will be question and answer, and we'll kind of go back and forth, but each of us will answer at least one question. But the big question, the first question that is on everyone's mind is for Carlo. And the question is the current recession going to be like the last recession in 2008?
Yeah, I definitely get that question quite a bit these days. And it's a pretty broad question. But if what you're asking is it going to be a severe or as bad as '08, I think the likely answer to that is going to be no. 2008 was a housing crisis. Our industry was the actual center of the problem, and that was a world where, as far as lending is concerned, there was a lot of bad habits, a lot of predatory lending happening, and there were a ton of loans that were issued that probably never should have been in the first place. That's ultimately what led to all the problems we saw back during that time frame. I think this, in comparison, this is a health crisis. Obviously, that presents its own unique set of challenges, but fundamentally, the health of the economy and the housing industry in San Francisco and in the Bay Area specifically, it's all very solid and sound. So when you consider the fact that lending guidelines are much more stringent in today's environment. We actually live in a world where income has to be verified, assets have to be vetted and paper trailed. That's going to result in today's home buyers and homeowners. They're all going to be legitimately able to afford their housing expenses. And that being the case, we're not going to see the same pattern of foreclosures and short sales happening like we did before. Likely, we're going to see an already tight housing supply remain very tight. That's going to keep our housing prices very stable, and really, it's that stability that's going to carry us through this Corona recession sooner than later.
Awesome, thank you so much, Carlo. That's really helpful. Let's turn to Michael. And Michael, can you tell us how the market is right now in San Francisco?
Sure. Yeah. So that's a question, a million-dollar question on a lot of people's minds. What we've been seeing is that buyers are still buying homes and sellers are still selling homes. Sellers, for whatever reason, will always need to sell a home, whether it's to take out the equity in the home, maybe they're retiring, maybe they're moving to a different state. Buyers are still buying. Interest rates are very low right now, and Carlo could talk about this a little bit more in depth, but interest rates are still historically pretty low, and that increases their spending power. I just took a quick look at the MLS. So year over year, at the end of March in 2020, end of March of this year, there were 967 home active listings on the market. And then in March of 2019, there were 1,167 homes on the market. So, April's numbers will be more telling, but as you can see from those numbers, the active inventory isn't hugely different. And then month supply year over year was 2.7 in 2019. And month supply at the end of March of this year was 2.3 homes for every month. So homes are still selling, buyers are still buying. One thing to expect, though, is that given this sort of higher lending standards, to expect delays, especially if you're a buyer. There are ways as well to work around that, and our team is fully equipped to walk any buyer through that process.
Cool. Thank you very much, Michael. That's really helpful also. So on that note, with regard to lending delays, Carlo, what are the delays that you're seeing right now?
Yeah, we're seeing some delays logistically in the loan process. I think the biggest issue is mainly with appraisals. Because of social distancing mandates, the pool of appraisers is actually very small. And couple that with the fact that loan volume has been fairly steady. Purchases have kind of quieted down a little bit in the interim, understandably with social distancing, but a lot of people are taking advantage of the low rates and hoping to refinance. So what that translates to is just some delays in getting that appraisal order completed. Right now, we're seeing maybe about 10 to 12 days to get something done if you're looking to purchase a home, where in a normal environment, usually that process is more like 3 to 4 days. But that's basically it. Everything else, I think the industry has been able to adapt to. You can still expect, for us anyway, about a 25 to 30-day close on your purchase.
Cool. Thank you, Carlo. That's also kind of, I think, what Michael was mentioning that we've been seeing, and certainly Jeremy and I have been seeing as well. So I will move on to the next question, which I'll answer for the group. And one question that I am getting a lot is now a good time to sell? And so what I'm telling my clients is, if you have a reason to sell right now, then it is still a good time to sell. The way we manage the sale is different than before. So obviously we can't do open houses. We can't do a lot of private tours and things in groups, but it's still possible to manage a sale safely and within the guidelines that are being set forth for us. Buyers are still out there, and they still want to capitalize on the low interest rate environment. And so a lot of buyers already pulled money out of the stock market and are ready to go. I do have buyers myself that are in that position. There is pent-up demand, and if sellers are looking to capitalize on that, then now is still a good time. The alternative, of course, is to wait. But by waiting, what we don't know is whether or not interest rates are going to remain at the same level that they're at, or if they are actually going to go up, which is certainly possible and has been discussed in the recent past. So if a seller is trying to capitalize on the market and the current interest rate environment, then now is certainly a really good time. And that moves us into the next question for Carlo, which is, what is going on with interest rates right now?
Rates are really good right now, kind of like you were mentioning. Michael was also mentioning that, the same thing. Rates are historically very low. Over the last couple of weeks, we've started to see interest rates stabilize on your 30-year fixed, right around the low 3% range for your lower loan amounts, the conforming loan amounts, and for your jumbo loans, which is the San Francisco market and the majority of the Bay Area, we're starting to see those start to hold kind of in the mid 3% range on the 30-year fixed, right around 3.5, 3.625%. I also want to add that even though there's been some tightening in the way banks qualify people for loans, there are still some creative financing options available out there. For instance, we can still do 10% down. We can still add a non-occupant co-borrower to help the applicants increase that buying power. We can blend ratios and blend FICO scores. So I think my point here is that if you're interested in buying a home, definitely don't get discouraged. Ask the questions, and let us try and help you figure out a solution.
Awesome. All sounds like it's, all good news on the lending side these days, which is very good for people to hear.
Yeah. It's I think we're getting used to kind of doing business in this environment. And right now things are very stable, as I was saying. So fingers crossed, tomorrow is a new day. Next week could bring some new news, but for now the outlook is pretty rosy, and people shouldn't be very, very worried at all.
Cool. Thank you, Carlo.
Yeah.
And last but not least, Jeremy, in your based on what you're seeing, is now a good time to buy?
Thank you, Marcel. And thank you, Carlo, for that perfect segue. I would say yes, but obviously it depends on your financial situation and comfort level. You want to consult with your financial advisor and assess the current landscape and your position. And for those buyers that feel financially secure, there is a great window of opportunity here. Another question, or maybe an underlying question for buyers would be, if I buy a home now, is the home value going to drop, soon? Will it drop in 6 months, a year? Given the Bay Area, San Francisco, the demand and the limited supply, it's always a good investment, especially long term. Another point to bring up is that home values remain strong. More than 50% of homeowners have more than 50% equity in their home. And what that means is that we aren't likely going to see a massive sell-off of real estate like we did in 2008, 2010. And that was due to kind of the subprime loans. Another thing to think about if you are a buyer, and that if you've been trying or waiting to buy in San Francisco, now is a good time. If you've been trying to get in a certain neighborhood but have lost out previously, this is a good opportunity. Competition is low and sellers are motivated. There are going to be outliers such as single-family homes in San Francisco. Our team has seen 20 plus offers for single-family homes in San Francisco, but that's always been the case in San Francisco for the past, let's say, 6 to 8 years. There's a very limited supply of single-family homes. There are essentially no new single-family homes that are going to be built in San Francisco. The supply that's out there is the supply that's going to be there. But for other properties, such as condos or single-family homes in other cities, that is a great opportunity for buyers to buy. And one last thing I want to bring up is, if you are searching for a home online and you haven't been working with an agent, just kind of casually looking, right now is the time to work with an agent. And the reason for that is because a lot of the homes that were on the market earlier before kind of the shutdown have been placed on hold, in a hold status on the MLS. And when it's in that status, it actually removes it from online sites like Zillow and Redfin. So these homes are still available. They are still selling, and new homes are coming onto the market daily. But these are all kind of being done off market. And who you work with matters. So working with an agent that is plugged in to the off-market network, that still has access to these homes and to these agents, are the ones that you want to work with. And unfortunately, not all agents are plugged into that community. But yes, great time for buyers in the market right now.
Agreed.
Cool. Thank you, Jeremy. And thanks again, Carlo and Michael, for your time and your expertise and insights. I'm hoping that this video will be helpful to all of our clients and everyone else who's watching. If anybody has any questions for any of us, please feel free to reach out to any of us directly. In the meantime, stay safe and have a great rest of 2020.
Sounds good. Thanks, Marcel. Thanks, Michael. Thanks, Jeremy.
Thanks, guys.